Okay, in this next video, we're going to be talking about something called price controls. And so in general, price controls are basically when the government chooses to try to control the price. So the government controls prices. And there's usually two reasons they do this. They do it to protect and consumers, or to help. I'm putting protect and help because we'll see that it's maybe not quite that clear. So in this first one, we just want to look at one side of this, and this is something called a price ceiling. Okay, and so a price ceiling is a legal maximum price. And later on, I'll post another video which relates to a different kind of price ceiling. But let me just start with a super simple example. Okay, so suppose the government is concerned about food prices. Okay, so maybe food prices are rising and they want to keep a handle on this. So, okay, so they put a price ceiling. So remember, it's a legal maximum. They put a price ceiling of $2 a loaf on bread. So that's a legal maximum. So there's a couple things that can happen. Let me show you a simple situation first. So we can just call this then situation number one, our demand and our supply. Well, let's suppose with no price ceiling, the price is here. Let's suppose our price was here, like $1.50. And then, so we're right here, $1.50. And then the government comes in and they say, okay, the price is so $2. Okay, so this is our max price. And then, so what do you think the market's going to do in this case? So I say, okay, we won't charge over $2. In fact, we're charging $1.50, right? So if you set the price ceiling above the current price, then it's no effect, right? At least right now. So it's currently what we call this non-binding. So that's one thing to see. So yeah, for a price ceiling to have an effect, it has to be binding. Okay, so if the price ceiling is above the current price, then it's not going to have any effect. Okay, so let's look at a more meaningful situation then. So situation number two, in this case, it's going to be binding. So let's suppose this is $3, and this is $3, and then the price ceiling was set here at $2. Okay, so this is the idea. So now it's going to be binding. We have this price ceiling is actually going to bind. And so what's going to happen is we're going to get a shortage. I'm just going to make up some numbers just to have some numbers, but it doesn't really matter what these numbers are. So in this case, our demand and our supply are not going to be equal. So let's suppose the quantity demanded is going to be 30,000 units. And the quantity supplied, let's just suppose, just to make up some numbers. So anyway, so we get this idea. So we end up with, so this is our quantity demanded, and this is our quantity supplied. So we end up with a shortage, right? So they want 30,000 units. They want 30,000 loaves, and so only 20,000 available. So what's this going to look like? So what this is going to look like, so we got a shortage of 10,000 shortage. So what this is going to look like is empty shelves. So if this happens, at least initially, what it's going to look like is empty shelves. So you're going to see bread flying off the shelves because people will start realizing that it's running short, and the farms have no incentive to replenish it because they're getting less than they want to, so they don't want to produce above this amount unless you had some way to kind of force them to produce at a loss. So what this is going to lead to is empty shelves. And as people realize it's going to happen, the shelves will empty even faster because they will try to get it before other people do, right? And if there's not some kind of quantity limitation, you also might find this leads to people buying up the bread and then selling it on the black market. So a couple of things to note here. The shortage will remain. So the shortage will not be like before where it just goes away because the price adjusts. because the price is not allowed to rise, right? So this shortage will remain there because its price is not allowed to rise, where it can't rise to the market clearing price that it would have before. The other thing that we can see is this may create a black market. Okay, so what happens often in these situations is, unless they put some kind of numerical limit on people buy up the product and then they go and sell it in the black market. And actually, when they sell in the black market, they'll often be selling above what the equilibrium price would be if this market had allowed to be free. And that's because if you look at this graph up here, if we go up to here, at this quantity of only 20,000, you might find that people are willing to pay, say, 4. Okay, so if they sell in the black market, the black market price will be above what the equilibrium price would have been if you allow this to be free. So it may create a black market, and it's also going to just create people going without. So people before got bread, now they can't get bread. So that's the big cost of putting price ceilings on things. Is yes, they do become cheaper, but the problem is they become harder to get. Okay, and so it sort of becomes a trade-off between this and the other thing besides the black market. You often have to long lines to get, or you'll get rationed. The other things that happen besides long lines, you'll get rationed. So normally your family would buy 2 loaves of bread every week, but now under the new system, because there's a shortage of bread, the government may create so that each family is only allowed to buy 1 loaf of bread each week. Okay, and so yes, this bread will be very cheap, but you're not getting as much of it as you want to. Okay, so this will tend to cause some kind of inefficiency. In the next video, I'll come back briefly and show how we can analyze this using the economic surplus concept.